Good day, dear ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. It's a pleasure to see you all here. What's a lame idea to hold this mic in my hand. You can ask for a mic, by the way, with a stand altogether. So, dear friends, I think it's high time we start. Everybody who came here, I hope nobody's gonna leave. Oh, thank you, it's wonderful. Super. Let me introduce myself. My name is Tatiana Lazareva. I'm the moderator of today's event, of today's session. I will brief you about what do we basically expect from today's meeting, and we want to achieve the results which will explain you how to live happily and nice. We have the calculation of time here, the timer here with the digits, and I want to tell you right away that each one of you can ask any question to the speakers who are present here. Now a few words about the guests. The point is that such diversity of guests is really important and is nice. The topics are quite broad, and I think it's really good because it will allow us to describe you in short what is generally this very happy and healthy life. So allow me to introduce my speakers, although I'm convinced that if you are here, you basically understand who you're about to talk with, because these are all popular and well-known people. Each one of them has his own blog or some TV show or Instagram, some platform which can be used for you to observe what they're doing. And today we will remind about that, definitely, for sure. Larisa Surkova. She is a psychologist, a coach, a blogger, and a mother. Contrary to the two men present here, we can calculate how many children we have altogether. We can open some educational entity. Sergei Malazyomov, writer, blogger, author of program Food, Life and Dead on the NTV channel, and he is a blogger on YouTube, and he will be responsible for describing what we introduce into our bodies and how we should support ourselves to have our body happy, to feel happy. And Larisa is responsible for happiness. Sergei is responsible for food. And Eduard Kanevsky, fitness expert, radio and TV announcer, author of a book with a wonderful name, Stop Gorging, or something like that, and Being Lazy. Stop Gorging, Being Lazy. A round of applause, definitely. That's the very name is worth the applause. And in this quite short but bright meeting, he will be responsible for this body saturated with healthy thoughts and healthy food, and how this body should develop itself and take care of itself. So, if I may, I would give the floor to each of you to follow the topic healthy body and happy body, would share and brief us a little bit, share the essence according to your opinion. What's the essence of this, or your understanding? Sorry, I'm a bad moderator, or I'm still sleeping, I don't know. I ask each of you to tell briefly, in a few words, to brief us about what you are going to speak about. Larisa, thank you. Hello, everyone. I have a strange habit to do everything standing in order to see people, but I will take my seat later. The mic is not quite comfortable for me. My name is Larisa, as Tatiana has already said. I hope some of you know me. In the minutes of advertisement after that, after today's meeting, I'll have a lecture in the neighboring hall Sklifasovsky about children. if it's relevant for you. So feel free to move there and we'll discuss it. So what I'm about to speak within the framework of this meeting, that a lot depends on ourselves, on our wishes and our motivation. In psychology, the science which I represent today, there is such one wording that there is no therapy without demand. If a person wants to be happy and striving for that, there are many opportunities to help him, both from psychology, food, fitness, and healthiness, and well-being, wellness in general. And if the person doesn't want to be so, he likes to be apathic, sad, unhappy situation, you cannot force him to become happy. You cannot pull him out of that. So a lot really depends on us, a lot depends on health relations, on healthy family lifestyle. The human being is a social person, partners are really important, children are really important for us. It's very important for us to have this harmony everywhere, wherever it's possible. That's why our goal today is to force you, to make you ask questions, and I will be glad to answer any question about psychology of personality, family relations, and children. And we'll speak about children in the neighboring hall. So let's transfer the mic, hand the mic to each other. You know, I'm comfortable with speaking, with using this mic. I am in favor of trusting science. Speaking about healthy food, my whole program, which is being broadcasted for several years, and all the books and programs, they are all following the one and only idea that contemporary science knows how to do the way that we would live longer, healthier, slimmer, or more fit or fitter like than our ancestors who lived in the beginning of 20th century on average. The life span was like 30 years and we're living longer, and it's all not due to antibiotics but due to the information. We know more how human body functions, and most of the time I spend in traveling worldwide and communicating with the most prominent scientists worldwide. Unfortunately, the Western science in the sphere of nutritional food is much stronger than the Russian was, because it was better invested, better financially supported with the system of grants. Our science was not that focused on this idea. Nevertheless, we accumulated a big volume of knowledge, which in general, if we make it short, we can focus on a few things. You should eat more vegetables, more fruits, less bakery, less sweets. But I would like to remind you of 5 scientific principles of healthy food, and scientific community supports us. They can be formulated the following way. First, less calories. The second, less meat, especially red meat. The third one, less salt and sugar. Number 4, more fruits and vegetables. And 5th, more diversity. So deriving from that, everything can be formulated in the main motto of our program. I have these two mottos. What should you eat not to get sick, not to get ill, to live longer and healthier? The second one, which I'm about to introduce in everyday's routine. Our program is about enjoying taste without negative consequences. It's all possible, and it's possible to combine, and the main psychological trick here is to love healthy food. Personally, for me, big and tasty, diverse salads is more attractive to me than salami, for example. It brings in the wish to eat it to me, and if you want to arouse this appetite for me, if you want to listen more about food than to psychology, do not go to the neighboring hall and stay here, because that will be my speech about healthy food, the scientific research about that, and I will cook what I consider to be the king of healthy food right here on this stage. Sergey, you have almost defeated Larissa. Larissa, I think you have to start cooking right away, because he is really tempting people with some unfair means. thank you indeed, and it's really cool that Sergey and Larissa generally have this kind of teamwork, because when people are speaking about healthy food and you have to say that you have to love this food, this is not the psychologist you have to go to. You have to go to a psychiatric expert. Andrei, how can you surprise us, and how you are about to involve people and to attract people? My name is Eduard Kanievsky. In fact, here I am as a representative, first of all, of training process, because I have quite an interesting story without any exaggeration. I had asthma, and before I turned 9, all I was doing was taking remedies and trying to become healthy. In the end of the before the collapse of the Soviet Union, I'm 36 years old. I saw a movie which motivated millions of youngsters to get into sports. It's called Rocky. When I was 10, it was the first time I went jogging. Thanks to the sport, I'm one of the main popularizers of a healthy lifestyle due to various projects. And today I'm going to speak mainly about psychology, which is wonderful, diet is wonderful, but fitness, they do not only make you fitter, but make you more functional, more resistant, healthier. And it's not about reduction of a fat layer or increase of muscle mass. We're speaking about longevity and life quality due to fitness. I prepared my short show reel, as I'm not performing anywhere today. Part of the projects where I participate are aimed at home training, at home fitness, and if this video can be launched, it would be cool. Wonderful green screen, that's not me. Is that everything which remained from me? Give him a second. Something is going here. And the sound is worth switching on, by the way. It's interesting to see the group of scientists in Antarctica which lived in complete isolation half a year and were forming different community. Let's take a look on contemporary world. You know, the sound is actually not going from this auditorium. Yeah, guys, the text is not from here. So the viewers are here who came here especially for that. We believe that you can imagine what Eduard was speaking about. So, blogger, you can announce that here. It's a show reel out of my five projects, and one of the major projects we were walking along the bridge with Anita Tsoy. We were having the reality show The Wedding Size. We were online for 3 years, 60 episodes. We were helping the family couples, married couples, to lose weight. One of my projects is a cooking show on the channel Doctor. Evelina Zakamsky was the general producer of the channel, and we were turning regular food into good food, useful food. And other projects where I try to make healthy lifestyle more popular, speaking about individual training at home, and so on and so forth. My main goal as a public person, thank you, well, it turned out to be a little bit clumsy. Why did I write this book? My book sounds like Stop Gorging and Being Lazy, but the main focus is made on those people who, due to a number of reasons, cannot afford either visiting fitness or paying for a personal coach or trainer. Or it is for people who, it's a manual for those who do not know how to train. So if you cannot force yourself to work out on your own, so read it and go forward, go for it. Dear friends, indeed, if we can be open with that, if you have any questions or you came to your people you like and you want to ask something directly, you feel free to ask them. Go ahead. I just wanted to ask, is it your daughter? How old is she? She's 7. Yeah, stand up, please, show yourself. Yeah, I'm kidding. You have only one children? Yeah, for the moment, yeah, she's alone. She's the only children. I'm bad at math, so I don't know why I'm calculating this. I have 3 children, there are 5 children, so you have 1 child, so 8 to 3 in favor of women. Yeah, just because we are giving birth to them on our own, and that's why we can compete this way. Actually, if you have any questions, of course, we have a mic which can be given to the public. Here's here's a gentleman who will transfer you the mic. Why did I get back to children? Because we are all here, we're all grown-ups, and we were brought up somehow, and now we perfectly understand our responsibility of how can you impose this healthy lifestyle of children. Everybody says that you have to start from yourself, you have to give a good example, to be a good example. Can we do somehow not to show example in something, but children will be healthy, like for example, they will eat healthy food? It doesn't happen like that. It does if this example is given by somebody else who is more respected person than you, but it would be a different and sad story, because we would like parents to mean something in the life of your children, to be an example. In order to be the example, traditionally parents love, and not only parents love, to blame the children, to blame somebody else for the children. The kindergarten will teach how to put on your clothes and how to eat, and the school will teach something else, and something else will happen in school. But they are still outside the vision of children. They find themselves outside of the vision of the children, which provokes many conflicts. And it turns out that the child is already a teenager, and everybody let it go and see some kind of enemy in him and do not know the roots of that. So going back to your question about healthy lifestyle and healthy food, they say that, we love fat things, mayonnaise, everything fried and deep fried and so on, but we would like this child to eat broccoli and vegetables, vapored vegetables. Teach us the trick. It doesn't work like that. Mother and father are the respected people for him. He wants to copy them. He will try to do what parents are doing. That's why this law, start from yourself, is absolutely one of the basis of the foundations of child philosophies. Sorry to say so. And my parental experience in this sense tells me, apart from personal example, you should not give choice. That's a doubtful idea. When a child is coming for lunch and sitting at the table, his hand will be stretched for bread. If there is celery or bread, he will choose bread. If there is only celery, he will eat only celery. But it's cruel, absolutely. You cannot do like that. A child having only celery or two celeries at the table, and after that he starts to love it and cannot live without that. We are going into some extremes, because it can happen so that a child, as we all, is a social creature, and when he is trying to survive over celery, however, we try to put it on top, and then he goes to somebody's birthday where there are hamburgers and pizza and so on. You can have really serious rollback if there is no psychological support, psychological training for the child, and the child does not understand why it's so, why is it healthy. It can be so interesting that children think that a child is really grown up, and starting from 1 year of age, you can request something from him, and then they start considering him a fool and cannot understand why celery is useful and good for you, and how it can help for your immune system, work with your brain and other health, and start to hide this information from him. And if you take the position that he understands everything, in this case, let us use some reasonable terms and good hints for the child to give the justification why this is tasty, good, useful, and even going to the guests, selecting between pizza and something else. We're living in the world where always there is a choice. You can come to fast food, just tell me, do not add the sauce, just take some chicken, remove the fry from it, and you can go to the same fast food and have it differently.
So the kid should know how to make a choice in any situation, any environment. Otherwise, it's going to be not so beautiful. I saw one situation when a mom, just recently I saw it, a vegetarian family, and the mom like to talk everyone that they are veg, and as a result in a party the person the kid was running around and ate sausages and everything from every pizza, and mom was standing and smiling because she couldn't do anything in this situation. This is a trauma for the kid. Why he would know why he didn't know it before. It's not good. It's 4-year child, and we should understand that the kid he or she lives in a socium, in a community. You mentioned that there is a lot of information right now. I think it should be a separate talk and separate topic, because the amount of information is so huge that it's just overwhelming the person's mind. And how to digest it from the quantity to quality, here we need to provide some lectures on that even. Meanwhile, I can't see in your eyes to interrupt us, otherwise you can do this. There is a desire to interrupt. Okay, with pleasure, please. Hello, my question is about which was partially discussed. A kid and wrong food which is for sale in store. I have a daughter and my husband. We try to live healthy life, and our kid understands it all. But when we give her some money as a reward for good marks, she goes to the store and buys some cola, chips, buns, and eats it secretly, and then otherwise I find she will be 13, and then I find some packages from it in home somewhere in closets. What shall I do? How can I explain to her and how I make her buy something else more healthy? Although I also buy it sometimes. I buy fruit, vegetables, everything. Well, your question I would like to address to every of our participants. I'd like to ask our participants to comment. This is the question which contains some answers. First, the activity, these actions of the kid tell us the reverse. She doesn't understand. She knows that it's important for you and make it pleasant for you. So when she buy some forbidden food, she hides it, because then it's an empathy. She loves her. She wants you to have only positive emotion. At the same time, she secretly in the mind, she don't want to accept it, because sometimes she lacks some tastes. What you mentioned, it's just sugar, which kids sometimes want to have. Maybe she doesn't get enough sugar. Maybe she should get some analogs at home. That's the question. They eat sweets together, but to add something. Yes, one more question. It's an opposite thing. Myself, as a classical children producer, absolutely against paying money for or rewarding good marks for money with money. If you paid it, then it's her money, and she can do anything with this money because you paid it to her. The question how she spends it, it's the question of your dialogue and why it happens and how do you react. What's your reaction when you find some forbidden food in her room? If it's just an easy and quiet talk, then the question is why. You should ask her why. What do you lack? Let's discuss it together. It's the person of 13 years old. It's a person who already has some opinion. It's a teenager. Well, and we can speak to this teenager and to discuss what we should change in our life, not to have this need for buying some junk food. And the fact that the kid goes to buy some fruit in the store, some food in the store, it's a bad sign. Let's sit together and discuss. We should change something in favor to something. What can we change in our life to make your life more comfortable? Because 13 years of age, it's an age of hormonal rebuilding and changes in the organism, in the body, and the body maybe seeks for some more sugar or for something. You should sit together and discuss it and ask her openly for her opinion. Why? What's the problem? What does she want to add to the life? And then come to a compromise and think about a way out. And please think about also paying money for good marks. This is a doubtful situation, believe me. Sergey, what is your opinion? I'd like to begin with the fact that the modern healthy food science tells us that chips which you take once a week are not absolutely harmful. The same as ice cream and some sweets. Normally your food is based on the healthy principles, as you mentioned, a lot of vegetables and so on and so forth. My personal experience in my family is we take bad food together with kids. From time to time we go to McDonald's. We don't see any problem with that. We just try to show in our model that if we take some burger, we'd better take not French fries but some carrots in McCombo. There is such options. And abroad, for instance, in Paris, in McDonald's, you can take kiwi, even shelled kiwi, and this is very convenient. But, well, we can't go all to Paris McDonald's, of course, altogether. Well, my point is that my principle of number 5 is versatility and diversity. It plans for some bad food from time to time, of course, just to have it. It's like a cheat meal day, one day in a week that you take some unhealthy food. Well, I do not segregate a special day when we break the rules. It's also, I think, psychologically not very healthy. Well, we understand that sometimes if we really like to, if we want to, we can do it. And my son, 10 years old, and of course he likes Coca-Cola as many kids, but we never buy it at home. And so we had an agreement with him. If we fly somewhere on the plane, he can take Coca-Cola. It's a very nice prophylactic of rotavirus. It was a prescription of an American doctor. Take Coca-Cola and it's going to be a good treatment, a good medicine. If he goes to a party, to a birthday party, to somewhere, he can drink Fanta or Coca-Cola, whatever. Sometimes at home, if I meet him in store and very bad look, and I go say, okay, if you want to take one can and share. He asks me, if can I? Yes, you can. And from time to time, very rarely he takes it. It's a very complicated age. Complicated age will also come later, but I hope that if we cannot ban, we don't have bans, or I'm against any bans in building up healthy nutrition. Everything is possible to eat. And even our Nutrition Institute of our Academy of Science keeps telling me, your journalists, you call products bad and good. It's not necessary. There's no bad or no unhealthy or healthy food. It's amount of quantities and proportions. This is the key. So if it's not possible to prohibit, to ban, we should head it, we should lead it. And another very important topic, out of my experience, if the kid wants unhealthy food, normally when he or she doesn't have enough interesting hobbies and interesting ideas. With my wife, we managed to make kids do sports. And my son, after school, visits 3 times of different sports, volleyball, basketball, and then swimming pool, and he really likes it. We managed to develop this love in him for sports, and as a result we know together with him that it's better to take these products for sports and for good results and not that food. And he already starts to ask the mom, don't give me these cookies, I need to take nuts for that. Thank you. It's very nice that someone allows you to do something which no one else would prohibit. I had a question when you started to tell. It's good when the kid hides something, but then when I hide something in the closet from the kids to make them not notice that I'm eating chips because I'm the normal person, it would be just an aberration, right? I'm gonna work on that. Okay, Eduard, where your daughter went, she is a little bit tired of all these talks. My colleagues started to develop my thoughts. You would say that we are monsters, as mentioned, but my kid tried ice cream only when she was 3. And, well, I don't see any abnormal here, because sugar can be a source of allergy. and I know that they have caries and problems with teeth with small children. It's a good story. Sports, really, it was already mentioned. As I already mentioned in the beginning, I started to do sports, and sports gave me everything. First health and the career of a coach, and now some career in the TV and radio. Why? Because sports means discipline. The discipline which creates and formulates character, proper habits, and anything else. And if my child wants something, but at the same time train it and says it's not good, don't want to discuss it, because the kid is really committed and he's driven away. And of course, the discipline shouldn't be brought to the absurd. If there was artificial gymnastics, it was painful, she couldn't, then he went to acrobatics, now breakdance and swimming. They are very strictly limited in food. There is no hamburger, no French fries, no cola. And so our kid, starting from 2 years of age, is in an atmosphere, of course, friendly atmosphere, now forces anything, but she doesn't need it. She doesn't want it because she got used to it. And so she has a proper stereotype of the behavior. The adolescent period can have some problems in relations with parents, or if there are successful sports, then it's wonderful motivation, but I don't think we'll have any problems in normal food. We went to the children's topic. I don't know whether they are interesting, but the kids growing older, and we pass it over. If you have any more questions, please. Hello, part of my questions is still about the child, but the main part not. My kid is 1.5 years. We with my husband started to go into veg system, not completely vegetarians. We practically exclude meat only once a week, and with special sorts of meat. But the question is, we have different opinions on that. My view is that I don't need it. I like salads, and I really love it. But my husband, he well, don't much like it. He'd better take a steak than a salad, but I don't make it. It's really his choice, and he wants to get rid of it, refuse it. But the question is, how should he overcome his barrier or something? How could he fall in love with this veg food and not eat secretly some steaks? And the question is, the second question, for the small child, is it dangerous to remove meat? Yes, it's dangerous. It's really dangerous to get rid of food for such small children. But let's start maybe with this story about transition to a special diet. And do you have any practical recommendations or life hacks? I know that Larissa, we discussed it. She took a look at the cookie I was eating, and she was really against it. Let's start with Larissa, if possible. The question is more not to me, maybe. The psychology is against diets. I'm very support what Sergei mentioned. It's not possible, as dietology express. You sit, you wait for the weekend, and in the weekend do anything you want. But how can we understand what the body wants from us? Then on weekend, it will accumulate much more than for the whole week. I have a good mood, I take it because I love it, and that's why. And it's going to then accumulate fat everywhere. The question about your husband, you should understand whether it's a true motivation. What is his true motivation? Why he all of a sudden decided to become a vegetarian? I think she beats him, isn't she? Please give more comments, bring back the event, because for me it is a miracle. It's strange that the person has to eat salads when he likes meat. He wrote a lot of about unhealthy meat, which we have antibiotic different. That meat is different. different types of meat, but it's anyway, it's a bit unhealthy, maybe emotionally, maybe he should stop reading. So my small comment, for me it's very painful topic. I want to go for a rally for that. The problem is people have become to bring everything to the absurd. A lot of information, of course, but you're not specialists, you're not experts. You read it, but who are these people who wrote it? Bloggers, doctors, whatever. If a person has 1.5 billion of subscribers, it doesn't mean that he is a specialist in this. So you have to understand, not every blogger can be trusted. The number of subscribers, singer Anita Tsoi, the whole world knows her. She's a moderator and singer. She has 1.5 million subscribers. Then you enter some blogger, Fitonyashka, who recommends you detox therapy. 3 million subscribers. No one knows her. Of course, it's a winded up, and you can challenge her knowledge, of course, in this regard. So she recommends detox therapy. But I ask her directly, what do you eat that in your 23 years needs to have detox therapy? Just an example of a very close relative of mine. It was the enemy, and she became climax. So she ruined her body completely because of this. Please stop reading it. Don't bring it to the extreme. There's a common sense everywhere. And parents, because you can feel hurt, of course, the people who prohibit children from eating meat, they should be punished, and they should be consulted by specialists, because you are ruining your health and you're ruining the health of your children. Antibiotics in meat, of course, it can be solved. Yes, by more expensive ways, of course, but a very good business. You know, first we used to eat natural products. Our cows were eating grass. There was a good milk. Then genetic products came to life, fast food, unhealthy food. It was sold some years, and then now they tell us, guys, natural products are triple as expensive. It's a good business plan, but at least they are available, these natural products. But please, believe me, if you don't have a profile medical education, don't follow the recommendations from the internet. Doctor, do not Google it. You don't need it.
You know, it's like actually a manifestation. As in that cartoon, I feel sorry about children, I feel sorry about parents, I feel sorry about everyone. So about the food. If in general, like we came up to the common ground that inside the family there are some big problems and the person wants to overcome it, what is the easiest way out? Well, first just to introduce more vegetables and less meat. I'm not speaking about just avoiding meat at all and excluding it. It's not the final goal. Yeah, she's now speaking to her husband actually. No, but you're regularly just to make blood tests for the ferrum level, for the iron level, and you'll understand it on your own. What does contemporary science says about meat? The most cutting-edge technology said that you have to limit yourself with red meat, but not to the extreme. Like 2-3 times a week. This dosage is considered optimal with a reasonable volume and portion for a reasonable person. As everybody understands, red meat, are there some other meats like blue or green? This is biological classification, a relevant one, which divides meat in red on the colorant gamma. This is beef, lamb, chicken legs, duck, because it's quite red. There is white meat. There's a chicken breast, rabbit, turkey. And the recommendation is in limiting red meat, which according to the research, with extensive use, is harmful generally to our health, to our body, because it motivates metabolism too much, and there is certain dependence on correlation with more probability of cancer or atherosclerosis with accession of this reasonable condition. But processed red meat is especially harmful. These are salamis, sausages, which somebody processed already. Yeah, hams, bacon, all that thing. It increases the probability, the risk of intestinal cancer. But there is no prohibiting from the provision of a medicine, from point of view of medicine. The other side of the coin is that it's really more healthy to eat more green, more vegetables. How you can get used to it or how to love it, my personal experience says, is how to research how you can cook it better, tastier, and to look for some life hacks, for some new ways to look into the kitchens of neighboring countries and peoples, and buy books of healthy food and healthy cookery. We all have it, yeah, there is no being ashamed of it. The choice is extreme, and free of charge you can find a big number of recipes for salads. There is nothing wrong in watching what vegetarians do. I am taking a look at their experience, and I do respect part of these people who reasonably compose their ratio. And it's really diverse ratio. It's really a complicated thing to make your ratio, vegetarian ratio, the way that you would be deficient in vitamins and minerals, but you have to have a huge selection of products. In this case, you can have some benefits for your health. Indeed, it was shown at the example of some of the Adventists who live in with isolated communities in California. They have quite a low level of heart attacks and cancer, but you have to be really deep into that and just forget about everything else, just thinking about food. You know, I'd like to add one more thing that I would like to add, that as for your husband, the child option would be really good for him when they want to give diversity. Children want something else. We say conceal it somehow, cut it into salad in small pieces. They will have to eat salad with meat. It will be a habit in a certain period of time. If I may, I'm not being a speaker, but nevertheless, you know what touched me the most in your story is that he is saying, but not a steak. Just try to do it the way that he cooks something, and you say, well, it's not a steak, definitely. He will try to prove that, no, it's really delicious. He'll try, they just don't get it. By the way, there are wonderful steaks out of celery root. It just came back to, just popped up in my head, and the chefs call it this way. And I travel a lot, and I visit very advanced restaurants worldwide. This is the most, one of the most relevant topic of the recent years: how you can cook vegetables. They are really delicious, and parsnip can be used as well. The chicken legs, she basically runs with that, and this red component is really in high density there. The breast is white. As for dietological classification, chicken drumps or chicken legs is red and full of fat. That's why they recommend chicken breast. And as dietologist Elena Baikova told me, you should eat meat which moves less. So chicken breasts move less, and that's why they're healthier. Now we can switch into some anatomical feature. I'm sorry, we have a line here. We'll have a mic, and you can switch it. You can take it. I came here and I was thinking that I will listen to it and will not answer anything. But as the topic, as I don't basically, I actually cannot say that among this public, do we have some vegetarians who are long into it, for quite long into it. Now it's a tendency. Now it's a trend. Now it's trendy. At the moment, I am a vegetarian I have been vegetarian for 24 years already, but I'm not vegan. I drink milk. Sometimes I eat fish and seafood, but I'm not doing it every day where nobody can see it. What's your question, by the way? It's just a comment. And from the perspective of psychological aspect, that's more an issue of conscience than of a diet. More of it's like a trendy diet, for example. But the question, we have a comment of specialized people for that. The question is not about that. The question is, I would like to, as we have a psychology expert here and an expert on healthy food and on healthy lifestyle, and sports. When the metabolism changes, when the consumption of any food, regardless whether they are vegetarian or non-vegetarian, is more or less the same, where the calories are in normal quantity, metabolism goes down the way that it's really hard to fight obesity. What can you do else apart from sports? You can limit in calories, you can work out more, but when it's insufficient, what else can be done? What for? To be healthy, strong, and fit. That's an interesting question. Who can take that responsibility? I can say from my side, there's such a separate thing as between psychology and medicine. It's called psychosomatic. Psychosomatical aspect in this or that disease is when you have obesity, excessive weight. If you follow the diet according to calories and you move a lot and the weight is not going down, you should go to psychologists and figure out what is hiding behind this obesity, because we divide it by areas and there is always a bunch of factors. When this weight is concentrated on the belly, for example, it's like rescue belly, rescue floating belly. What is happening among women? Why it happens so? Because basically there were problem with the relations with men. The psychological aspect is trying to protect themselves, making the woman less attractive for men. Let's hide away from this women, for them not to pay attention of you. And these components are numerous, and we cannot actually put it clear that in a short period of time, but there is sense to go to psychologists to figure out what is behind this. It's due to some reason psychic decided to hide a person behind this obesity, hide a person from the outer world. Eduard. Well, and very often of me, the person is probably working out in a wrong manner or eating in a wrong manner. So mistakes which are made by people who. That's all integration of internet, due to integration of internet. It's like basic example, simple example. I'm working as a coach and I have a client who is working out for 15 years as a grown-up, educated person, speaking 2 foreign languages in a high level, and she says that, Eduard, I'm following this diet, I'm following that diet. Last time she surprised me and she told me that I'm a coach with medical education. I took keto diet. I say, okay, fine. In 2 days she comes, I like the phrase, she says, Eduard, I am out of keto diet. Why? So I read to the end and said that after that I will smell acetone out of my mouth, acetone breath. So if you reached the expert, or at least listen to the expert, when a person, as we say in fitness, every person has its own method. But when an expert is trying to research something, well, you have to make a choice. Either you're with an expert or you're on your own. So solve your problems on your own. Not trust the expert. I think we should really go. It's really a manifestation. You would like to add something? There is one more important issue. There are some attempts to establish some regime of working out and nutrition scheme, and the weight is not going down, but sometimes people are trying to substitute some vacuum in his life or in activity of life, substituted with food, some intellectual activity, spiritual activity, if I may. If you are busy all day long, and if you are really into something and you're thinking that you have to achieve your goals, and by all means you're just simply lacking time to eat more somewhere else. You're concentrated, focused, and interested and involved into that. I'm finishing my book about longevity, and more researchers say that activity, not only physical one, but social one as well, intellectual, is extremely important in order to support health and live long. That's why the Spanish government, which achieved really good results, it develops a system, Centros de Mayores, the centers for elderly people live in small towns. They get together and they are playing domino, having a glass of wine, communicating, gossiping probably, and it's really good. It's also good because what I see, what I can witness among people outside, for them food is one of few sources of joy in life. And I see this judgment like, if this is bad for you, maybe that's not worth living at all. You have to saturate your life with some sources of joy apart from food, and not taking food as the only source, not be obsessed with that. I have to add something, and say something in favor of Moscow. Moscow has a wonderful project, the effects of longevity, because it's really nice. I saw it from within. They have sports, they have dominoes there, and they can gossip, and elderly people really have this light in their eyes, shining eyes. It's not only in Spain. And there is one more option, if I'm made to listen to person. And the question, first of all, I would like to ask, at 15, 3:15, the reporter wanted to tell us about the dead food and live food. Want to listen to him? Will it be here, this report, or we're discussing? Or you can ask a question. No, you will have a chance to ask a question if there is time. Okay, I will wait till then. Well, I thought we would like to check. The person is concealing something, that's for sure. I will answer definitely, no problem. Okay, so you have one spare question, so you can stay, that's for sure. Okay, let's imagine I'm a relatively healthy person. I feel fine. Do I have to do some checkups on a regular basis, like if on an average thing, like I have walking a sport 2 or 3 times a week, not quite good food, healthy food. I'm relatively healthy person. I feel no particular pain. What I should do once a year, once in 2 years, once in 5 years to make sure that my body is all right? Well, after many years, having many years of experience, medical expert, there are no healthy people. They're unchecked, health check people. Go to experts, they will find something, that's for sure. And other colleagues will answer probably. I think the whole forum called Healthy Moscow, most part of it is focused on regular examination of your body, health examination. And the tendency, the happy witnesses of which we are here in Moscow, is that previously these checkups, fast and thorough examination, Rolls-Royce examination, so to say, were available only to wealthy people who could go to Germany and to have the full checkup. Now it becomes more and more available. Many checkups are already inscribed in free of charge programs with cancer screening, many types of cancer screening, colon screening, digestive system screening. That has become a consensus among educated people that you, once a year, especially when you are over 40 years old, you go through quite a thorough and complete medical examination. You make a checkup. I spend 2 days of my life every year, the summer time when my family is living somewhere and I'm on my own, I have more spare time. In June I go and take this check, doing some probably unpleasant procedures, because the ideology of contemporary medicine is aimed at catching the disease, the most unpleasant and dangerous, at the earliest phase when they are still curable, and this is absolutely probable. You should not be greedy on time and money for that. Actually, it's going to pay back. So, relatively healthy person. Do you have some other question, Eduard? Maybe you can comment on that somehow, because there are more questions and we have 20 minutes left. Let us give you the opportunity to ask. Hello, I have a question to Larisa Surkova. Larisa, I'm a big fan of yours. I'm reading your books for many years, and I love your theory, and think it will be relevant after the New Year holidays about candies. Many children have problems that they are really fan of sweets, and they are eating candies a lot. Yeah, we also can say the same. And you say that in order for the children not to eat too much sweet, it should be available. If I understand correctly, yes, you all do. Does it really work like that? I don't actually can believe it, because if we give access to children, there will be no candies left. This theory is not mine, and a lot of things have been invented before me. Many experiments were held in this country, and as soon as it's a forbidden fruit, the child will find it. He will find the box, he will find where to take it, he will ask his friends, he will go and buy in the shop, and he will find a way to reach it. The essence of the experiment was always limited, where families were taken where there was absolute prohibition for sweets, and the sweets appeared. It's every day, it's on the table. First 3 days, children category from 4 to 9 years old were eating only candies. When they saw them, they ate everything they could eat, all they can eat. To the end of the third day, most of 80% children start to ask something else to eat, because they get tired of the candies. The body understands, as in every diet. It's like a candy diet. The body and the brain says, okay, enough of that. Give something else. I cannot eat only that. Starts asking for something else, demanding for something else. And to the end of the week, the candies stop disappearing. We have various candies which is available for every child, from the smallest one to the oldest one. It's always full. The box is always full, and they can come there and take something, and sometimes leave it. And there was a pandemic which is known by many parents, the sweet candies. There we are going that to the workers who are trying to select, they're trying to taste something, they bite it, they let alone, they do not want it, they do not like it, and they ask to substitute it, asking for fruit, and where can we find some bananas, and it's not interesting. That was not my system, it exists, and we can get more precise into that.
Can I ask a question just to specify? You do have sweets, but they are not open, but in the closet. No, they're in the closet, but you can put it on the table, nothing will change. But when it starts from zero, from scratch, of course there are on the table in the open access. There is another system for very worrisome parents who don't want to experiment. There's a notion of special time, special period. The sweets are put on the table at, well, let's say 4 p.m. Some sweets or candies or chocolate, and the kid understands that by the 4th and 5th day that nothing would change. Tomorrow still at 4 o'clock the sweets will come up, whatever parents decide. It's not a question of something which is prohibited or not, but this sweet will anyway appear on the table, independent whether you want it or not. It will be there and you will be able to get it. A lot of interpretation, a lot of variable approaches, and these experiments are done not by psychologists together with dietologists, nutritionists, trainers. So this is a very spread system and common system. A system of experiments on kids, right? Yeah, we can boast it. Very good. If I add something, I remember experiments related to transparent and intransparent vases with candies who are put on the receptions in some organizations. These experiments told if it's opaque, then it is not provoking, and these candies are digested less. I try to do the same at home. Sweets, chocolates, candies, they are big provokers. If you are very visible in front of you and you can get it without a problem, you'd rather eat more of them than in a different case. What I do, I put candies and sweets in cans, not transparent cans from cookies. It's also in but on request. If it's on request, and then it is consumed less. It's just not to provoke you, well, to avoid it. And just a joke, we are in the Pavlov hole, and I remember Pavlov dog, and the reflexes of Pavlov dog are still. The reflex habit is a habit. If you don't have it, you don't need it. If you do it, you see it, and you get this reflex. It's like smartphone. I gave my daughter a smartphone, with 7 years of age when she went to school. If she didn't have it, she didn't ask for it. I want to answer Eduard, who is experimenting on his child. It's very easy when there's only one child, but believe me, the second child will get it earlier from the elder brother or sister, and well, all these sweets will be given from elder children to younger children. It's the question of practice, I think. You can organize it. By the way, my first child didn't try it before 3 years of age only, and then the grandma came, and yeah, well, it was all it was all ruined, the whole system. We have 15 questions, 15 minutes, please. More questions. I have a question rather to Eduard. Is it possible within this blogger lounge to answer my question? We support healthy lifestyle, we do sports, I visit fitness and the gym. Well, can you recommend some nutrition ways, nutrition recommendations? 40 plus, if I'm 40 plus, taking into account some hormonal peculiarities of this age. Eduard is responsible for sports. Sergei is responsible for nutrition. No, to provide results, good results, not about muscle mass, but just to stay fit and have a beautiful body. Well, I'm not a dietologist. I'm not a nutrition specialist again. If there are pseudo-dietologists among trainers, they know about proteins and fats, and if they recommend something, it's not quite right. If about muscle mass, gaining mass or losing some weight, there's a traumatic peculiarities, and it's clear for women after 30 years old it's more difficult to reduce fat mass and to get more muscles. And this is about the methodology also. If you would eat, as bodybuilders say, 2 grams protein per kilogram of your muscle, but you don't provide any conditions for digestion, and you are not working for hypertrophy, you don't work with higher weights, you don't increase load, these protein will not be digested because you do not provide proper conditions. So the nutrition can be corrected. You shouldn't digest and shouldn't take so many proteins because it won't get to your benefit. I don't consume nothing. I don't need it. I don't call as protein cocktails. It's protein, just a protein from food. You can you can take chicken 6 days a day to get the necessary protein. If you read something that you need so many proteins. Everything related to our body. First, you should provide proper conditions. When the person goes to lose weight, 45 minutes cardio, and then fast carbohydrates, then a good methodology is needed for the diet, first and foremost. Another question about meat. They say you need to eat protein. If I don't want to eat a lot of meat to keep good shape, what can be a replacement for that? It is again closer to dietology, because I more support sour milk products and dairy products, but not all people digest it good. If you have a protein deficit, I recommend to make a focus on sports food, because the proteins which are made by milk serum, they can be made of beans and of eggs, and even the vegetable protein, it's made by cannabis protein. What are the results? What are the results of this cannabis? The same? No. I have a question. What is your opinion about water? Shall we drink so much water as recommended? And the second question, shall we overestimate the celery, broccoli, cabbage over other types of vegetables? I like broccoli, and don't you? My kids don't, so I eat it secretly in the closet. About water, now marketing gave us a lot of myths, quite expensive ones, different types of water, activated water, enriched water, acid, living, dead, silverized, oxidized, whatever. We have many different types of waters from Baikal Lake. Well, this is all the types to get our money. The recommendation which we meet a lot, drink at least 2 liters water a day. Well, but the recent research, especially the reviews, mega overviews which combine all scientific research, they say that this figure does not have any grounds. There are no grounds for none of the organism systems, body systems, showing some benefits or some benefit from these 2 liters. You should drink on the request. Well, if you're thirsty, you should drink water. And if you cannot wait from breakfast to lunch, if you are still hungry, please drink some water. If you drink more water, if it doesn't help, then go and eat something. Or just press some part of your body will address it. The psychologist will object to you. And about celery and broccoli. From the psychological point of view, it's a very clear situation when some products get some miraculous features. It's a very spread thing when a person wants not to rebuild very complicated way the whole ratio, the whole diet, but start to eat some greenery and become healthy all of a sudden, or just move to broccoli once in 2 days and think that you're gonna be very healthy out of it, despite that you still eat roasted steaks, sausages, whatever. Well, I think yes, it is very painful for Eduard, isn't it? So these food products are absolutely healthy, of course, but you should abide by the healthy principles of nutrition. Abundance of different vegetable in your diet, less processed, as less as possible to have more vitamins, but you should not overeat it. You know, you need to have common sense and reasonable approach everywhere. So diversity is good, of course, and rucola salad turned out to have more anti-cancer substances than lettuce. Well, but you should still not take only rucola. You should take all different types of lettuce. About water, a few words. One of the spread myths that every day you have to have 10,000 steps, right? Who should walk, and they walk all these 10,000 days every day. But with children, 10,000 steps from Japanese, it's just a translation of a device, of step measuring device, which was invented in 1960s. Well, but 10,000 steps for me as a trained person is not about anything. For the overweighted people or aged persons, or it's a cardio session. But once again, please consult specialists before you do something. More questions? Please use the mic. I did like the message of Sergei that we can have the Mediterranean nutrition. At least we can do it in Moscow and call it Mediterranean diet. Thanks a lot for this interesting talk. And you mentioned Moscow longevity. I am participating in it, and I have to tell you that very good courses organized there, Correct Nutrition 55 plus. So the question about this nutrition, we have a group, 11 people, some of them with excessive weight. We've been training for 3 months, and we lose from 3 to 18 kilograms. For some individuals, sometimes some people lost 18 kg, and I have gained 4 kilograms. So I want to understand what did I do wrong. And the question to Sergei: this nutrition principle in our nutrition is being propagated 3+2, 3 main courses, main meals, and 2 small meals. If I have some overweight, it gave me +3 kilograms. Maybe for me, I need this interval 2+2 periods nutrition regime. 3+2 maybe not so good for me. what we propose me is to provide telemedicine, right? To heal on TV without special examination. I can't give you advice. Maybe possible. Maybe you're right. Maybe I do not exclude. The lowest number of calories. How many calories I can afford? 1,200, 1,000, just to stay alive, or for what? It depends on time. For 1 week. 1 week you can take no calories at all, but that's not interesting. Okay, don't test the dry thing. My son is still alive after this drying, but he's still alive. Okay, I personally advocate moderate diet 3 times a day, and obviously it works out very well for the majority of people. And then you calculate the average weight lost by your group. Anyway, it will be pleasant for you because it will be minus. Any more questions? We have only 5 minutes. Please hear one question. They say that if you want to change your life, you should change something really. Can you recommend some small steps? What the person could change, smaller ones? If you have a weak character, if you cannot do big changes, there are a lot of exercises of that. Like the easiest way is to change your habitual way, your normal way you're using when you go to the office or home, well, this will also impact our mood and our appetites. To change the melody, your ringtone, whatever. Start with smaller things, and if you get a very ambitious goal that by the end of the week you should lose 18 kilograms, so here that's going to be a big resistance and emotional problem for you. Start with smaller things. You're right. I have a small hint, a recipe which worked with one of my colleagues. If you ask a question, what do you want to be after 5 years, and what kind of person you want to be after 5 years, it builds up a system in your brain, and it makes you think in the right way. The reasonable approach is very important in your life. And the colleague of mine, he worked as a director on TV, a producer on TV, and she understood that it's not the way she wanted to do it. As a result, she now lives in California. She has a startup there. Of course, it was not easy, but if you strive for something, as a result, you will come to it, because our forces are endless, and our energy, which we have, it's huge. What I started from today, you just need to want it. It comes from you. If you don't want anything and you don't try, if you even think that you're in the bottom, try to push up and move a little bit aside of your success, and without going there. But anyway, there's no miracle. Here I'd like to add, from the fitness point of view, in our country, objectively, there is no cult of the body. If someone goes for a gym just to be prepared for summer, to gain more shape for the vacation, it is very sporadically, episodically. People normally don't gain good results, don't achieve results. Here's everything good, makeup, and what is under the clothes is not, they don't care. That's why we have a low number of people doing fitness. And when fresh potential clients come to me and they tell me everything, they ask what should be my motivation a priori. Physical loads, I tell them, because it will make you live longer. This is the comprehensive, healthy influence for your body. There couldn't be no better motivation. If you regularly train, you can afford more in terms of unhealthy food, alcohol. You will be more endurable, you can give more time to your family, because your body, due to physical loads, is becoming stronger. You prolong your life, better use of your life, and then still, it's very healthy for men. If you go for a gym, you get more testosterone. It's of course very complicated, but you prolong your man's life. It's a sexism, right? And what should we do? And by the way, the level of hormones, of sex hormones, is changing when women come to a gym, which significantly reduce negative impact of the future processes, climate processes. Thank you very much. Dear friends, we have only 1 minute. Even if you ask your question, you won't get any answer, but you can formulate it. It's important. I must tell you, dear friends, that we are wrapping up, and I want to draw a conclusion. It seemed to me a very important thoughts that I heard from 3 speakers, that the abundance of information not always releases you, exempts you from the responsibility. I'm really glad that in his room we have best bloggers you could listen to. And I'd like to remind you once again, we had Larissa Surkova. You have Instagram. You can find her on Instagram. Sergei Malazyomov on YouTube, as far as I know, on Instagram, on TV, on at 11 o'clock on NTV. Around 2 million people is our audience every week, according to the measurements. Wonderful. And Sergei, both Sergei and Larissa will have their full-fledged lectures where you can ask questions. And Eduard Kanevsky, TV moderator at STS channel, writer. He won't have any lectures. You can catch him now in the lobbies and he will answer all your questions. Many thanks to you, and from myself. If you came here, you have the right for the happy and healthy life because you ask private question. Have a good day. Meet you here in 15 minutes with those who are ready to speak about healthy food. I will answer all your questions.